Hi, my name is Anthony Montgomery, and I'm here doing a presentation about HBCU marching bands. We're going to talk a little bit about where they came from, how they started, some of their traditions, and how they go about, their style of marching. It's completely, totally different than corp style. Uh, it's more of a show style marching band, and we'll get a little bit more into details through this um, information video. So let me get started here. Share my screen. Alrighty, let's get started here. All right, what is an HBCU marching band? An HBCU stands for a historically black college and university. So their marching bands is a very distinctive style of marching. It originated in the American South in the 1940s through the blending of early traditions of military music and minstrel shows with a performance repertoire based on popular songs. Okay, the marching bands at historically black colleges and universities have entertained millions nationwide with precision, choreography, and musicianship. With the combination of precision style marching and the African American music culture, these bands have changed the perception of the football halftime performance. Most of these people who graduate from these schools and alma maters teach this style of marching at their various bands. While in other cases, most mainstream high school bands implement the corp style marching. In the urban schools, a lot of times they have the style of these historically black schools. So let's take a little more dive into this. The tradition marching band style at historically black institutions has been a prevalent backdrop of many collegiate and high school athletic programs across the United States. This style is a combination of the traditional high step or chair step marching style of the Big Ten football conferences and contemporary African American music and choreography added to that. Many music educators are unfamiliar with the traditions of this type of marching style that HBCUs use. The history of the HBCU marching band style can be traced back to the establishment of HBCUs and the black military bands. Prior to the Civil War, African Americans were denied the privilege of receiving a collegiate education. The first HBCUs were established in 1837, 26 years before the end of slavery. The few that received an education during this time had to undergo extreme turmoil during their college studies. Some were forced to study independently. Some schools for elementary or secondary trained training existed. Uh, they had different schools like the Philadelphia Quakers, which was the institution for colored youth, a school that was started in the 1830s, just to give them an opportunity to get an education. So this was kind of made in the hopes to have something to be a part of that they were not given a chance to be a part of. So they made their own for them. The African American marching band traditions were initiated during the Revolutionary War when many African American soldiers were assigned to musical instruments instead of weapons. The tradition developed with each passing war. So throughout that, many people, during that time, they had these different types of bands, different types of militaries. Excuse me, not bands, militaries that were formed in place of that because they were not allowed to get any weapons or guns. They just gave those instruments and they made them become a band, and they were formed and they were used as a gimmick, a touring type of thing where they did parades and did public experiences and put on a show for people, and it helped form money for the militaries. So it goes all the way back. They weren't a part of the full military. They were had their own black regiments and sections of the military, and that's what they were given, and that's what they used. So from that, you get the formation of this modern day HBCU band based on some military background. The first HBCU band was established in 1890 at Tuskegee Normal School, later to be named Tuskegee University, and it was under student direction. It wasn't until 1907 its first professional director, Nathaniel Clark Smith, was appointed. Moving on from that, the earliest incarnation of the modern HBCU style of marching band, in which the distinctive high step style existed, it added itself and it became a part with the popular music. And they added dance routines to that, and it wasn't just, the band, it was drum majors, auxiliary members, dancers. They all played a part into this show that they put on. And that can be traced back to Florida A&M University during the 1940s. At the turn of the 20th century, the marching band culture became to be an essential part of the American collegiate football experience. The football played a big platform for collegiate marching bands. Early marching bands implemented military-centered maneuvers and corps-style marching, which included block formation. So again, going back to the history of it, and they became from military, they formed and expanded and changed through military bands. You get that they still have, even today and at the turn of the century, they're still centered on that military centered background that you see, which is totally different than what you get with corps style marching. Um, like I said before, their marching is a high step, and it's like a Big Ten conference thing. So if you know anything about Big Ten bands, Big Ten. An example here in Arkansas would be United the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. Their pregame show is strictly a very Big Ten type of form. They do high step marching, and they're laying across the field and powering and doing stand tunes and really putting on a show for the crowd. So that's what you see from there. Going more into the marching band style, as far as HBCUs, the late William C. Moffett, he developed a four-person squad system that kind of changed, revolutionized, the show design technique for marching bands at this time, because he implemented this thing that was a four-person system. And with that four-person system, you can do various things with those four people. You're able to create certain designs and effects and pictures across the field using that technique there. In the HBCU marching style, musicians practice, knee lifts. One thing about that is, the high step is an important style. You have to. It's a certain way. There's a certain way that's right, and it's a certain way that's wrong. And they practice certain degree angles, like a 90-degree knee at the knee. You want to have a 90 degree. You want to have 45 degree, level from front to back of your shin, your leg, your leg part here. You want this 90 here, but you want that little 45-degree extension, and that 30 with the toe and with your heel, not necessarily your heel, but with your ankle. And that gets you to make sure that you are concurring that 8 to 5, because even though we're high stepping You still have to make an 8 to 5 stride with that. So, with that technique, you have to be precise with it. There's no room for error. Um, uh, Talking more about the drill, as you see here in these couple pictures here, they make these big pictures, and they all a form a certain idea about the show. It all means something. These pictures, they take many sets and drills to get to this one picture. But when it comes to that picture, it makes a big impact, and it really shows certain things that you might necessarily not see at other schools. Talking more about the instrumentation, and then instrumentation is totally different. But let's look at the music portion of it. As far as music arranging techniques for HBCUs, they vary depending on what region of the states you're in. Schools in the southwest region of the country, such as Bethune Cookman University, Florida A&M University, Savannah State, Edward Waters College, all these different college bands, they in that region, they are more particular on the pyramid of sound. They focus on the concept of balance, blend, intonation, articulation, and dynamic contrast. Like they really focus. Like that is something that they take con. They do not believe. That they don't want any type of. They don't like the edge. They don't like to clip over that little what we might call the line of a characteristic sound. They focus is to practice with a warmer tone resonance in a comfortable register, and they are relying on more instrumentalists playing their parts without any error to achieve the large sound. So they're not big on, having 50 people on 50 trumpets and getting that big wall of sound. They feel as if you stack it up, pyramid of sound, everything's balanced, everything's set, that you get that level of, you get that dynamic level of loudness. That's what you gain that from. But it's different other places. Schools in the Southwest region, such as Southern University, Jackson State University, they, commonly incorporate a style that requires more brass instruments. They believe, they have a lot of more, they're very heavy on brass instruments for projection. The brass voices like trumpet, mellophone, and baritone, they're scored like high in the registers for a bright tone color. They want that brightness. They want it to pierce through the crowd. And then, the philosophy of the band there is to create a sound effect that is more felt than heard. They want you to feel that, hey, we want you to feel us. We're streaming, we're trying to make a statement. We want you to feel us. And during this part of the region, they are also influenced by jazz culture and of New Orleans. They're around that territory down there. So, that's what they base a lot of their style on. And you'll see that as we look at some music later on. So you'll get that. And then vice versa, you'll see that, depending on which region you're in, it changes. Going down to instrumentation, like I said before, they're very big on brasses. They want that big sound. They want that. As far as traditionally at the HBCUs for a percussion section, they use a single upright tenor, as opposed to quads or quint tenor drums that you'll see corp styles use where they're all connected together. They only use one, and it's strapped over them over their back, across their chest. Most HBCU percussion sections carry their and drums on straps and slings as opposed to front-facing harnesses that are typically used in corp style percussion. So as you can see here in this picture right here, no way if you have a harness can you implement dance moves for the percussion section as well, not just for the band. The winds, everyone is incorporating something, and that's just the more type of style that they have. In order to do that, you have to have a sling on. That sling gets you more mobility. So that's one thing they use. The instrumentation is a little way different for that. Also, you know, they use it for the flexibility when performing. They do choreography routines. Another thing for us percussion, they also use a single size bass drum. As you can see, kind of back here in this picture, this is the same size bass drum, and it's probably like 6 or 5 of them with the same size, bass drum, and they want that type of sound. They want it to be tuned loose too. They're not all, usually a corpse sound. They're very tight, and they're tuned to a note or in a specific pitch, and everything is very has a lot of tension to it. But they like these to be more loose. They want to have a type of drum set sound to it because they're doing popular music most of the time. So when popular music is usually you have drum sets. So that's kind of the style. They want that concept. They want the big boom of the bass drum. They don't want to hear all these different sounds like beep boop 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 boop. They just want the nice drum set type of feel that you have there. Um, so that's what you get that. Uh, but even now, in the recent years, percussion concepts have progressed as many, they're becoming to implement some of the corps style techniques into the marching performances. So, coming as it's growing and going to different sections, you will see that they're developing, new and nuances and different things to add, far as this, even for the wins. Moving on here now, a big part of HBCUs is their show, their halftime show, and the halftime show they do at these various HBCUs are very consistent. You know, they have many different roles that they use for that. But it's a certain order to basically how they show. It's how you see their show. But one main component of the marching band, and it's usually the first person out in front of the band leading them on, is the drum majors. Um, the drum majors in the HBCU band, it kind of feels a different role than other marching bands. They use this person at other marching bands to control the tempo, to impart on field direction. But the role as an HBCU drum major evolved from that of leaders of bands, in the black, mission parades. They were performers by themselves. When they let the band on from these military bands back in the day, they had a leader, which is mostly their sergeant in charge, of the regiment. And they were there, leading the pack and showing them, being the first to have show a good time for those people. So you'll see that. And that's what they're there for, and that's what they give off to those people. So here I have a little video here, which is showing just that, this is a video showing drum majors in their life. They're not there, they're leading the band, but they're not controlling it. They're off doing their own thing. One thing about HBCUs is all about a show. So, they're going off and joining and having a good time with the crowd and getting involved with the crowd, and that's what they love. That's what they come to the games for. Main thing they come to the games for is they come to see the band because they know they're gonna play maybe a song they know. It's gonna be a great show. The crowd can get involved. So that's mostly what they're there for to do. So let me get this video going here, and let's go look over here to this video so we can see this style that you get here. This video is of the Jackson State University drum majors, uh, probably back in 2016, as the video title says. And you'll see there, they're pretty ahead of the band, and they're leading the band into the stands in the stadium where they seat at. And, they do something pretty cool, and that's their job. They're putting on a show, and that's what you'll see them is putting on a show for the crowd, and as you will see, they enjoy So take a look and see that it's not they're not leading the band all. They're not giving so much direction. They're actually a part of the show and giving a good show for the crowd. As soon as this opens up, we'll press play. Take a look at this. So as you see there, the drum majors at this time, they're there and they are key, to the overall, show aspect of it. They're there, put on a show. As you can see, the high knees. They kind of have a point to where they're very, very high knees, more than 90 degrees. And, that's just something they use to kind of just show off and have a good time. And as you can see, they surprise the crowd with the little string thing. So you get all this, and the crowd never knows. It's different day, different game, and that's what they lean for too. So far as a halftime show, there are certain things that kind of happens. You know, they incorporate contemporary music into the halftime show. Not just in the students they play for halftime. A typical HBCU marching band, a typical one, uh, performance, has six show elements that are performed in this order. So first up is drum major entrance. That was a video of them entering the stands, but we're talking about a halftime show. So you'll see that. You'll see the drum major entrance. Most HBCU style drum majors, they perform special dance routines prior to the band entering the field to deliver a visual effect. So, they're there, getting the crowd started before the band gets on the field. And then immediately the second part, you get this precision, the second part of, halftime show, you get this precision drill downfield march. This element, it displays the patterns, in designs. The downfield march, requires the band to march in position to stage the precision drill in midfield. So they're there at the stage and they do some type of theatric at the beginning and they go straight downfield and they get they're off and they lay down and they usually start their halftime show with a fanfare of some sort that they use all the time, and you'll get that, and that's crowd knows and it's ready for that. And immediately after that, a part of the halftime show, you get like I said, first thing was drum major entrance, You get the precision drill and downfield marching. Immediately after that, you're gonna have dance featured. You gotta have a dance feature in a halftime show. You'll see that. They perform. Usually, the band marches around the drill, and somehow after their drill, they'll be forming this concert formation. So this is going to showcase the band's dance troops. They can showcase themselves, and they'll do dance moves. They'll do choreography. They'll do certain different things. And as you see in this picture, they'll have a dance team, and they'll be waiting on the sidelines, waiting for this second movement, this ballad or power ballad that they're going to play. The dance team's going to roll out there, and you say, boom, there they are. And that's just another feature that the crowd loves. Each HBCU band has a dance, squad or team with it. They're a part of the band. Mostly at different universities, you have the dance squad, in their section by the stadium, just in their own bubble. Just, they'll dance to the band tunes, but they're basically there for the crowd. Here, you get a complete opposite. You get the dance team that are strictly for the band, and they're there ready to do their dance feature. Immediately following the dance feature, you're gonna get a concert. You're gonna get music. They're gonna still be in concert settings, but they're gonna play. It's gonna be a ballad. It could be a ballad. It could be many different things, but it's gonna showcase. It's gonna be something that gets the crowd like, ooh, oh my gosh, they are playing. They're playing their butts off. So they're parking and they're barking, and they're playing something. The color guard, they're playing dance with it as well. So it's all for the show. It's all about the theatrics that you get. Amongst that, also you get following this a concert selection, it's gonna be a 360 change of the room environment or the field environment. They're there playing some sweet ballad the dance team has just performed, but they're gonna give a crowd something. Also, they're gonna throw something else out there for them, and the band is gonna do a dance movement. So now, wait, we just saw the dancers dancing with the band. Nope, that's not all we're gonna do. The band's gonna do what we call some breakdowns, and they're gonna do certain dance moves that could go with a song they're playing, or it relates to the theme of the show, something. But the crowd loves it, and it gets them really uh, uh, enthusiastic about it. And then of course after that, they have to exit. Ain't no way you can't start with a big entrance, have a big middle, and you can't just be like, okay, we're just gonna leave. There's an exit. There's a certain way they exit, and usually, they exit to a song. It can be a popular tune or a spirit tune. It could be their fight song. Sometimes they do what they call a sideline blowdown, where the band plays a popular tune, preferably a hip hop tune with the maximum projection to impact the listener, and they do a company front to the sideline where they're just blowing their faces off. So you'll get that as part of their exit, and they'll do something maybe that the home team, like their home team, knows, like, of a spirit song, and they'll play along with that, or they'll do the band. Most of these bands have a theme song, a theme song for their band, and you'll see that throughout there. So this, it changes. Sometimes the order changes. It's not in this specific order all the time, but you will see each of those elements in a HBCU halftime show. So you'll see all that in that style. So we're going to sit here and play. I have another video. This is a halftime show video. So this is a video strictly of the marching band Jackson State. This is Jackson State University doing their halftime show. So we're going to take a look at this. And this is Jackson State. This is their halftime show. This was a halftime show they did at UNLV in 2016. But you'll see these elements, and they'll be in a particular order. They'll be in this particular order, and you'll see what a standard, halftime show is. Every week, every team they play a week is different. It's no one show per season type of thing that more corps do. Corp style, they'll do this elaborate show with theatrics, and they'll take and then they'll do the whole season to prepare for it. And you won't get that here. Uh, you'll get multiple shows all the time. So let's take a look at this and keep in mind those 6 elements I just talked about, and you'll see it through there. You'll see it throughout this whole show. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're familiar with the phrase, what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. Well, you have my permission to tell everyone about the night that Jackson State University sent boom of the South City to Vegas and shut it down.
You can see here you got the drum majors right here. They're in a formation and you're ready to call the band to attention here. So they're there and they're gonna do some theatrics. This is the drum major entrance here. And the band is sitting here at the infield ready.
The Jackson State drum major. Tyler, Mr. Blue Collar Ballard from Jackson, Mississippi. Joe Dynasty Williams from Montgomery, Alabama. Gia, Mr. Second Most Scored Photo from the King City of Charlotte, North Carolina. And Brett John Major Abraham, the Prototype Duffy from Detroit, Michigan. And now, get ready to witness the famous Tiger One-Arm, a fast-paced movement on the Adagio step that then flows to a smooth drop.
Marching, excuse me, a lot of combinations. Doing a lot of, certain fundamentals called pinwheels, cartwheels, side twos, sideline twos, and different positions that you'll see throughout it. If you watch closely, you'll see these 4-man squads here. You'll see that they're marching 4-man squads and they're together the whole time. Here we are, there's a squad there, the squad here is forming, getting in line. And it's all, each one of these squads are part of the, the big picture here, getting everything situated for the part to it. So, you'll see that there. And that's what they'll be with that person throughout the whole show. sideline here, you see the dancers getting ready for this. Let's see. Now they're sitting here preparing for, they're blocking themselves up for this dance feature about to happen. So they're making these concert cards. Concert selection here, and this is where a band's gonna do a concert selection and do that.
Now let's go to Top 10, we go.
Now here we have the exit. And this here they're start playing their theme song here. So this is how they're gonna exit here. So let's take a look. The director of the Princeton Game Show is McWade Ashley Cole. All right, so like I said, you know, that is a A typical halftime show you'll see throughout. It showed all those six elements. They came quick, which you saw all those. But that's a typical HBCU halftime show. Moving on, we're gonna take a look at some of their, repertoire for their, their songs. You know, early on, HBCUs they focus, on musical repertoire, the popular day, popular song of the day. This includes, emphasis on R&B and hip hop charts. They're also known for, these punches and shorts, musicals, pieces that are drawn from melody songs associated with popular culture, such as television and movie theme songs. So you'll see that in some of these options I have here. During stoppage in game plays, they just kind of do this alternating thing where they play, the opposing band will play something and then they will play something. And it's kind of a sort of battle. But the first video here we have is a Southern University, which is something they got very known for of their arrangements. Also a part of the repertoire. There's kind of a show on who has the best arrangements, like who arrangement is better than the others. So they play a big role in that, and that's what everyone tries to be better at and be the best at. But Southern got very big recognition on this song. So this is Southern University playing Adele's Hello. So let's take a look at this. So this is Southern University doing their cover of Hello.
It's the number one song in America. Come on, ladies, y'all know the words. Y'all can sing with us.
Take a listen. Also look at the band and how they present themselves. They look like they're ready to go. Each band has their own way of horns up and movements, so you'll see that. Take a look. recognition for that song "Hello." It was very popular at that time. You know, it's all about the arrangements and it gets the crowd going. It was a really good arrangement of that. So that was Southern University. You got to remember that, you know, depending on what region you're in. Remember we talked about sound and quality of sound they look for. Well, Southern is like they're the edgy, they're a very high register type of band, and you know that's what they like. You know, here in Arkansas, we only have one HBCU, and that is the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So we're going to take a video look at, you know, Pine Bluff's school here, and again, you're going to see the difference of sound depending on what region of the state you're in, and you know how some bands take into uh, fruition their sound and you know how they arrange for each part. So here is the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff HBCU band, which they classify themselves by name as N4. Yeah, that's another one there. Like I said, you know, these are, you know, stand tunes that they have, and they're range for the popular tunes. You know, you don't want to be, you know, repeating it so much. So they have, you know, certain things. So to me, the kind of type of arrangements are you have the head, you have the beginning of it, you have the head, you have the middle section, which is called a tuba breakdown, where maybe just the tubas playing. You might get the trombones in there on some licks, mellows, and euphoniums always have counter melodies and stinger notes throughout it. And then you have the tubas, got the bass line down. And you might have the clarinets, flutes, saxophones, woodwinds. They're probably playing some octave of the head, maybe playing chords depending on if it's a ballad, doing counter melody stuff as well. So it changes depending on which band. It's a big difference sound between Southern University, which was the first video, and Pine Bluff. Uh, because difference in sound and size, and just different of what they like as quality. So this next video is Jackson State University playing a tune, which you'll also hear a difference because Jackson State uses silver instruments instead of brass instruments. You'll be able to tell the difference. You'll be able to tell the difference between their sound and what they use for their quality of sound there. Because instead of having euphoniums, they have baritones. You know, whether people want to believe it or not, it's a big sound difference between a baritone and a euphonium. So Southern University uses euphonium, so they have a lot of big sound and darker resonance. And Jackson State is going to be a little lighter and a little bit cleaner because of the instruments in their baritone. So let's take a listen to their sound here. So yeah, that's another song there. Like I said, that's Jackson State, so you can definitely see a different change of timbre of sound there. But that's mostly how stand tunes go. They're quick, they're easy, they're punchy, they're short, but they also get the crowd involved, and the band plays along with it, and it's a very catchy tune. So that's why the crowd loves it. They loves it because it's something they know. One last thing here that you'll see HBCUs do a lot of is battling from one band to another. It's literally who is better, who is better. Like it's a very big game. It's a competition. Who has the best arrangement? Who can call out the best songs? And fans live for that. They have this thing where again we know in college football that you can't play while the ball is in play. And depending on your college, you might not ever get to play too much during the game. So they make up for that. Well, in things they make up of. So they have this thing called zero quarter, which is where they play various songs back and forth from the opposing team uh, before the game starts. So they get a battle on there. And then they also a battle after the game, which is called fifth quarter. So what you're about to see here is a fifth quarter from Jackson State. And this other school I haven't mentioned yet, which is Grambling State, which is another one down there in Louisiana. So they're very similar, but you will definitely tell the difference of cleanliness as far as technique and you can really tell who's kind of a little bit better. But that's the point of the battle. People have their opinions, and it's all comes down to the sound and arrangements. So let's take a look at a couple of these. One more thing for our press play here. A lot of bands start off with something. It's a battle, so you don't want to. Some people start off free. Some battles start hard. Some battles start simple. It just depends. So you'll see kind of how it progresses over time. So we'll listen to a couple battles, and this can go for a long time as well. Like this is just 24 minutes, but I've seen ones be an hour. If it's a really competitive school and they really are so competitive, it can go on for an hour. They literally have to tell them, sometimes they have to tell them, hey, it's over. This is the last song. Y'all gotta, exit the stadium because it's a battle. That's the fun of it, and the fans love it. So let's get going. Okay, moving on. This round two. So what you'll get is you get that back and forth. So they'll go back and forth with these shorts on and consecutively on. So Jackson State started this battle. And they started with something kind of technical, very quick technical, like, hey, we're easy, we can do this, whatever. And Grambling State, they came back, they did a rebuttal with something very upbeat and very intuitive, and it was a popular song, and it had lyrics to it. If you know what the song name was, uh, it was basically a battle, a throwback in the face to them. So we're gonna see what Jackson State does, and this continues on for a while, but we'll see. We'll just take this last video clip here and look at just what they do, and they continues back and forth, and it's kind of like it ends kind of like, are you done, or am I done? Like, it kind of depends on if the band wants to stop. Like, if they feel like they won, they'll stop, and the band will. Some bands will continue and be like, "Oh no, I won," but maybe the crowd can say something different. We probably know who won. But we'll look at Jackson State. So this is what they were bowling back to them. So let's see what Jackson State has to say back to them. So, that was a very powerful, ending. That was a powerful, rebuttal back from what they previous, showed them. So that's what you get. You get, how do I apply back to this? Should I slam them or should I just throw it back into them? That continues for a minute until someone gets tired. So that's one of them. Another thing that HBCU bands do that many corp styles they don't incorporate that. And that's just a fun thing they do. The bands there have a good time. They're there to put to show you know the bands, and they're there to give them a show. So most HBCUs, that's kind of what they give them. You'll get that throughout a lot of it. So again, thank you for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it to get a little bit to know more about HBCU bands in general. Thank you.